Okay, recording start ho chuka. So yeah, we have to install these two packages, and if we need more, we'll do that. Okay. I hope you guys have installed it. No problem till yet. Till now. Done. Okay. We'll move ahead. So to actually accept, uh, what you say, payload from the body, we need to configure a few things. Okay, so we have to add these three middlewares. Like I told you, what are middlewares? It will be executed. It will be executed before every route request, right? So paste it in the chat, and I'll tell you where you have to do it. So you have to add those where we are setting the view engine to EJS. Just below it, paste those three middlewares. Okay. So this way we can accept payload from the body, from the request, and like there will be some request in the there will be some body in the request, like we are passing email and password for sign in, so that way we'll be able to accept it. Okay. Before doing that, without doing that, we cannot do that, accept it. So I hope that makes sense. So yeah, and this one cookie parser, as I said, we have to include it first. So this one is to parse the cookies to work with them. Okay. We'll have to import const cookie parser equals require, like we have been doing, require, and package name cookie parser. I'll copy it and paste it. These all configuration you have to do it in the index.js file. Okay. Any confusion till yet? Any confusions? Done. Bro, is it case sensitive? Yeah, it is case sensitive, but you have to use the same variable name where you are using in the app.use, right? Those two names should be same. If you are using capital P here, there also it should be capital P. That way it's case sensitive. Otherwise, you can name anything, I guess, your variable. So is it fine till yet? Till now. So now we'll start using our routes. So first we'll import routes. Okay, so first one, let's work with the auth route. So I'll import auth routes equal require, and the way we uh, include the self-written files, like we have to give the path to it, right? Like we have included config file, the same way we'll include the route file. So we'll go inside the routes directory, then we'll grab the auth.routes. I hope that makes sense. Now we want to nest it inside app.use. We want to nest it inside API, I guess. So whenever the user request for /API, it should render the auth routes. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Actually, we will get an error if we run the server right now, because we don't have anything in our auth routes. So let's just copy this auth routes and just a small file and paste it inside the auth route. Okay. And I cannot explain this yet because we need to have the controllers for auth route, because these auth controller are coming from auth controllers file, if you can see this, right? So let's create that, and after that we see what is happening here. Controller.js. So you have to make a file under inside controller directory. Can you paste those two lines in index.js here? Okay. Which two lines? This one, app.use. This one is a middleware, which will nest the auth routes inside slash API route. Okay. And this one is importing basically auth route inside the index.js. So you have to do this one above this one so that you can use it below it. Okay. So now people are joining. Okay. No problem. So any problem still here? We haven't actually run our server, so we cannot check whether we are. We'll just complete this route flow and check if our route is working or not. Okay. So yeah, we have copied and pasted in auth.route. Now we'll do the same for the controllers part. Okay. Um, you all have these codes, right? Tell me if you don't have. Okay, this is a large file, huge file actually. Mm, many complex things are going on here, so we have to see what's going on. Everyone clear till now? Just copy and pasting. Guys, no response. Come on. Okay. Okay, so I'll move ahead. Yeah, go ahead. Okay, so let's see what's going on here. So as I showed you, we want to nest our auth routes in slash API. Okay, so whenever user will go to our domain slash API slash sign in or something, he will be redirected or he will be presented with the auth routes. Okay, so what's going on in auth routes? If we control click, uh, how I did it, I just pressed control and clicked here, and I was redirected to here. So what we are doing here, like we imported express in our index.js, and we have done the same here, but here we are initializing a router which basically does like same way like app.get does, but it's specifically for that only. We cannot use middleware with router. Okay, router is just for routing. So yeah, we give that variable a name router, and we'll say router.route if anyone in this route, like we are inside slash API, if you remember. So if anyone comes and opens slash sign in, it will get a post request, and you should call the sign in method inside the auth controller. Okay. So what's going on inside auth controller? Let's see, because that's what. Okay. So here, uh, you got the part when will be, when this function will run, right? Whenever user will send a post request to slash API slash sign in, this function will run. I hope that's clear. right? Okay. So what we'll do, we have required our user model. Okay. So there we'll find, you know, from like I wait. Okay. So we added this middleware express.json uh, to be able to use this request.body.email. So inside our body, we'll pass email and password in that request, okay, in the post request. And by doing that, express.json, we'll be able to access that body object, and inside that we'll be able to access the email. So what we'll say, every user model or every model of the MongoDB has a method to find one, and we'll pass on which property we want to find. So we want to find uh, the email which matches with the body's email which we are passing. Okay, so after that it will like everywhere we are doing, the second argument of that find one function is a callback function, which again takes two parameters. First one is the error. So here we are just using, if any error occurs or if there are no user, just simply render this error.ejs, which we do not have right now. We'll make one with the title, please log in, and message no user found. Basically, if there are no user of that email, we'll just give the user an error screen or error message saying that there are no user of that email. And if it's not the case, we have to authenticate. If you recall from yesterday's user model, we had a authenticate method on the user schema. Yeah, which we have to pass a plain text which will encrypt that and compare it with the hashed password, which we are doing here in the auth controller. We are passing user dot authenticate, and we are telling a not, if it's not authenticated, it will again give an error screen, the same error.ejs which we will make just now. And it will have a message that email and password don't match. Okay, because that email exists, that user exists with that email, but the password is not correct. And if that's also not the case, if we are able to authenticate the user, then this piece of code will be executed. I'll explain this in a moment, and just tell me if this was clear, why we are doing this. I hope that's clear, right? Okay, awesome. So what's JWT? Okay, so we just installed this package JSON Web Token. So JSON Web Token is a very new way. I don't know if it's new, but it's um, okay. It is new. Okay, so it's a new way to get a token, which we can store it inside the front end only, and basically it will generate a token based on a secret. Okay, like I don't know, we have used a secret recently. Okay, like we were doing with salt, right? If you recall, here the hash password user dot model, wait, yeah, the hash password was being generated based on this salt, right? So it was a unique token for that user, right? Do you recall this? Anyone? Okay. So same way JWT works, it takes a unique secret, and based on that, first, okay, so it will generate a token using the sign method. Okay, so we have to first include JSON Web Token. We have given a JWT name. You can give anything, as I told before also. So this JWT contains a sign method, okay, which first for the first argument, it will take an object, as to if this token is to be decrypted, what it should give. Okay, so basically we are encrypting the user ID and username, because we'll be using username as well, and we are using a secret in the which is inside the config file, and we have to add that secret right now. So here we will add our own secret, JWT secret, TRET. I'll just add a mosaic, not a mosaic, just mosaic. Okay, so based on this secret, it will generate a unique token, which will also be a hexadecimal token, and it will store that token inside this token variable. Now, inside that res dot same response object, we can set the cookie object, and we can give it a name as t, and the second argument, which will be the token, which should be the value of this t, and we can give it an expiry. Okay, so this is just a new date, a JavaScript way of declaring a date object. Okay, so yeah, this res.cookie will generate a token, a cookie, and save it inside your web browser. And the cool thing about cookie is you don't need to have JavaScript activated inside your web browser to generate and save cookies. Like we can use JWT token in other ways as well. Like we can store it in a local storage, but for local storage, we have to have JavaScript activated in the web browser, which is very common these days. But yeah, that's one thing beneficial to use cookie. Like we don't have to use JavaScript. We don't have to have JavaScript activated in the web browsers. Okay, and we just redirect to the slash, which is just index. So if you notice that uh, okay, so we don't have that login screen right now yet. So the idea is whenever the user is signed in, like when we JWT token is one for whole program. Yeah, it's one for whole program. Based on that secret only, it will be every user will have. So JWT token is one for whole program, because we have to verify also. It cannot be unique for every user. We have to verify that JWT token so that we can sign in the user. Basically, that was generated during sign-in, so we can authenticate the user. Like the JWT token is valid during creation of a new post or commenting. So we have to keep that in mind. So JWT secret is common for every user, but that user ID, which is used to generate that token, this user ID and username will be different for every user. Okay. Okay. Okay, so we redirect to slash. So why slash only? So the idea is basically if the user is already logged in, basically if the user's browser have the cookie already stored, we see that, and this slash will work that way, that if the user browser does not have the cookie, it will redirect to the login page, and if it does have the cookie, it will just redirect to the list of the posts page or Twitter page. I hope that makes sense. Right? So that's how the whole sign-in process works. First, we check if the user with that email exists. If it does, we'll authenticate the password using the authenticate method on the user model. The next, if both are true, we'll just generate a token and save it inside the cookie. Okay, and redirect to the slash. And sign out process is very similar, actually very simple, not similar. We just res dot clear cookie and give the name of the cookie. Okay, we were saving with the name t, and we'll just clear that cookie, and as I told you, again redirect to slash. If the cookie is not present, it will show the login screen, and if the cookie is present, it will show the chitters page. Okay, the sign out is very straightforward. I hope that is very simple to understand. Okay. So yeah. Okay. So in the routes, there are only two routes, but we still have two other controllers. And what are these for? So we don't want anyone to, post inside our, what you say, inside our website unless he or she has logged in or signed up, right? So that's what this function do. It basically is a middleware. So middleware you have seen just like this. It will be, you know, these types of middleware will execute before every route, but this middleware, these middleware will we have to specify which route should execute this before executing the main callback function. Okay, so basically middleware also have the request and response, and it has a special next method to it, which is basically called if everything is okay, we'll call next so that it can proceed to the next callback, the main callback of that route. Okay, for example, I can show you from the Twitter clone page. So like in the Chitter controller, wait, not Chitter controller, Chitter routes. So yeah, we have this, you know require sign in even for the listing. Okay, where we are listing, we have this require sign in so that no one without signing in can access this list. Okay, so that's how these middleware will work. Mm, I hope that's clear. So both of these middlewares are that only we execute some code and call the next function so that it can proceed. Okay, so what are we doing here? So if there are no cookies, we'll just say, so the cookies are in the request object. Okay, so cookies, request.cookies.t, the name of our sign in cookie. If there are none, we'll just give the redirect to that error page, render that error page with the message please log in to continue. Okay, and if there is cookie, we'll again use the same package jwt, and this time we'll verify that cookie. Okay, first one for generating the token, we use the sign method. For verifying, we'll just use jwt.verify. Okay, so we'll pass for the first argument, we'll pass the cookie, and for the second argument we'll pass again our secret, so that based on that secret only it can verify the cookie, decode it, and the decoded object will be this, it will be containing this only. Okay, so our decoded object will have our user's id and user, what do you say, username. Okay, and what we'll do before calling the next, we'll add that decoded object to a property auth inside the request object, and this request object will be in the next callback function. Any questions till now? Any questions till now? This is a bit complex, I know.
Guys, are you all understanding the concept of cookies, and any doubts regarding this? Because this concept is totally new to almost everyone, I guess. So feel free to ask.
Yeah, somewhat. What somewhat? Somewhat clear,
Fine.
somewhat
Guys,
not.
if you'll need to do some external research also about this. However, so what we are doing is we're giving you a brief overview about what exactly it is.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, I understand since this is your first time, it will be somewhat itself. But
yeah.
as you all proceed towards your, I am sure I would, I mean, you all will be making your projects further. So in that
Correct.
case, you all will understand more of it.
Yeah. Okay,
Anyway,
so
apart from that, is there any other doubts which you all wanna ask?
next is moving to the next stage. Correct, correct. Next is just as the name suggests. Like I showed you in the code, right? There are two arguments. Firstly, in the get, we were passing only this for the router's get. Okay, we router dot route. for which route, then we pass the method get. We were passing just this, but if we add a middleware like this before that, so this middleware, after performing all the calculations and everything, it will call the next and it will go to this. Okay, it will move to that function. Okay. Okay. So yeah, another middleware we will have has authorization. Actually, we are not using this one inside everywhere. Basically, we want, you know, we don't want anyone to update anyone's profile or delete anyone's profile. So we'll have to check that. So request.profile is one thing we are doing inside the user's route. So we want to check that the profile ID, which is the current user, the profile ID which is opened, uh, how do I explain it? Okay, so basically we are not using this one right now. If we are when we'll move to users route in just a moment, I'll connect this thing with that. Okay, so just hold on for a bit. So yeah, let's save this file, and obviously in the last we are exporting all these methods as an object so that we can just import uh, inside the auth like this auth control, and we can just use that inside this route. Okay. Okay. Shall we move to next route, or let's make the, I don't know, EGS files, views files? Let's do that in the last. Okay, first let's connect all the routes and controllers for all these three, then we'll make the views and check the app. Okay, so next thing. Okay, guys, if you have any doubt, please feel free to ask, please. Okay, so we'll import the user's route, user, and the route. I guess we have users. So yeah, I hope this thing is clear. Why we are, nesting it inside it. Is it clear? So yeah, let's just copy the user's route. And so yeah, and as always, let's create a user controller, user.controller.js, and copy and paste the content of that as well. Yeah. Right. So yeah, shall we move ahead explaining this code? Okay, so this one create is the sign up process. Basically, we will be creating user in this create. Okay, and actually in the current app we are just using these two. Okay, for most part of it, we are not removing or updating the user. This is the feature you might want to add. I have given the code to do it. You can add the GUI to it. So that would be a good exercise to understand the code and do it yourself. So yeah, basically here we are just I just wanted to check if the request.body is working so we can remove it. Okay. So what we are doing is, um, actually we don't have error handler, and we might need it. So MongoDB is a, you know, is tricky to handle errors sometimes. So what I did is I created a error handle helper folder, and inside I just pasted a error handler file, and we can do that as well here. Just create a helpers folder and create a db error handler, db error handler .js, and paste this file. Okay, so basically, it has some error code which gives unique error warning, like the what you say, email already exists and username already exists. That one we have to handle it. Can you repeat what you did? Okay, so basically, this MongoDB or Mongoose, there are some special errors like 11000 and 11001. So that gives the, what you say, unique error warning, like email already exists, or what you say, username already exists. That we have to handle. What you say, we have to handle it. Okay, and it will give basically it will give some cryptic error message which we don't want to show it to user. That's why we just convert it to a readable messages. Okay, so that's what this db error handler file is doing. So what all you have to do is you have to go to the main project. There will be helpers folder, and there will be db error handlers.js. Okay, you just need to copy this. Mm, yeah. So you just need to copy this file and create a DB handler in your current folder, current project, helpers. Create a helpers folder, HELPERS, and create a DB error handler folder and paste that content inside it. Why I did you understand? It basically, by default, it will give a cryptic error message. We want to show some useful error message like your email already exists, please use a different email, like that. Okay, so that's how we have to handle it personally. Was that clear, guys? Was that clear? Okay, awesome. So what we are doing is we will be, so request.body will contain all the, sorry, name, username, email, and password. Request.body will contain all these, and we just want to pass that to user and create a new user. Okay, right now we are just requiring the model, user model, and passing that and creating a new instance like we do in object oriented programming. Okay, if you don't know that, just understand this, that we are creating a new user using this syntax. Okay, after that, on this user we have a method called save, which will save this user inside our database. Well, try to save it in the database. And this thing, which I guess Harshul yesterday asked, this thing .then.catch is what JavaScript promise is all about. Okay, so that's why we did this mongoose.promise equals to global.promise. Okay, so that .then call is called promise. Basically, this .save will take some time. Okay, it's not a synchronous process. It will take some time to store it in the database, and after that, uh, it will call .then. Usually what happens, our code will be run executed from top to bottom synchronously, but this dot then call will wait for its chance whenever this dot save method is, you know, executed, and after that this dot then call will be executed. Okay, so this dot then call basically will execute after the successful dot save. Else if it gets any error, it will come to this catch block. Okay, and it will again take an error, what do you say, error object, and it will call that uh, get error message, and it will again render that error.ejs, which we have been doing. Okay, is that clear? Then we'll go to this dot then. Are these are predefined functions? Which one? Dot then? Yeah, dot then is basically a promise. Yeah, dot save is a function on this user. Okay, this user model which we have created new after. Yeah, dot then is basically a promise. We didn't get enough time on the first day to experiment with asynchronous functions. What's asynchronous, but it's available on my YouTube. So yeah, basically dot then is a promise. Okay, what we configured mongoose to do. Okay, so what we want, after the user is saved, it will return the result, and it will have all the user fields. Okay, what we have here, the user model, it will have username, it will have email, it will have name, hash password, salt, updated, created. But obviously we don't want that. So actually we are not passing anything. So we can just simply remove this. But yeah, in practice, if we were using API calls, so we have to, set salt to undefined and hash password to undefined, so that the end user should not see these in any of the cases. Okay, what are hash password, what is the salt? Okay, for the security reasons, right? You get this part, right? Okay, then again, we'll redirect to the slash only. This is a cryptic message, I guess. Is signed up equals success. So basically, what it does is it will give a parameter of is signed up to success if the sign up was successful, and it will show a green message. If you signed up on the website, you'll see a green sign up message after you successfully sign up, that you can log in now, right? So that's what this will help us to uh, get from the URL. Okay, so this was all about creating a new user. We just all creating new user takes, we need to create a new instance of the user by passing the required fields, which will be inside the body of the request, and we'll call dot save on that to save it to the database. Okay, that's all it takes to create a new document inside a database. I hope that's fine. You guys say something. Come on. Should we move ahead then? Okay. So okay. So in sign up, if you remember, we were accessing using the user.find1, right? But in the list, we don't want to find one, except instead we'll just call dot find, which will get us all the users we have, and it will take a callback function. First one will be error, and second one will be the user, and obviously for each user, like this for each you have seen there also in our EJS. This is basically an array function, okay, which will perform some what do you say, calculations or anything to each of the element of the array. Okay, it will basically do that. So here for each of the users, we'll set the hash password and sort to undefined, because obviously we don't want to show it on the front end, right? And again we have a user list.ejs, and we'll pass this title like we have been passing. We'll pass user request.auth. If you remember, we what do you say, we did that in sign in, require sign in middleware. Where was it? Auth controller, this one, right? Request.auth, and yeah, and the actual users array, which will be rendered uh, on the front end as the list of the users. Okay, that's all list is doing. Okay, so in slash, these were the two requests. Okay, one was the post request to list the user, which will contain a middleware of require sign in. So user has to sign in to list all the users. For creating users, he need not actually, he won't be signed in if he is creating. Next, so this is the route slash colon username. So this is a basically variable for router. The route, this one is the variable. Okay, so this is basically called a parameter, okay, or param. So in the down here we are handling if any of the route has parameter username, we want to render this one first, or run this, execute this function first. Okay, so what this is doing is it will have all those three objects of the, what do you say, middleware, and at the last it will have the username, which is the actual parameter of that. And what we'll do is we'll find one like we have been doing, uh, we did in the sign in function, find one, and here we'll just pass this username. So this is a shorthand to do like this. Okay, since key and value are both of the same name, so we can just omit this one and we can just pass username. So yeah, you want to find a user with username this, and again that function will be called. So this is the exact same pattern which we did in signing in. So if there an error or no user, we'll just render the error screen with the title error and a message no user of username this. Okay, and if it was, you know uh, if there was no error or a user was found, it will be inside the profile of the request object, and will uh, add that user to that profile object and call the next. So this profile is called here has authorization, which I told you. So that user, which like if he is updating his profile, so that user should be that user only which is signed in, and whose profile he is gonna edit it. Okay, edit it or delete it. I hope that makes sense. Does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? That was huge. Okay, so now if we request for any, actually I'll just run the actual code and tell you how it's working. npm run dev. It's running on port. Come on. slow. Running on port 8000. So I'll just open it. Localhost 8000. Login. What was my password? I signed in, and I'll show you. Wait, I'll show you the cookies. Okay, first. Mm, should be an application, I guess. Yeah. So here it should be our cookie, and you can see this is a cryptic token. Okay, and this token will be who will update the user itself. Yeah. That's why we have that has authorization. So if the user profile and user.auth, which we get from signed in, matches it, he should be able to delete or update. Okay, so yeah, that's how they store cookies, this long cryptic JWT token. Okay, and this will be verified, and on logout you'll see that cookie vanishes. You see, you saw, right. So that's how the cookie works. Okay, and okay. So now you'll see that if I go to users slash open codes, you see I'll get the my profile, and you see I don't use that username colon username. I just pass that weapon codes. So what which is my username. Okay, so that username colon username is just a placeholder for that. Okay. Okay, so that's how the wait, this one is, yeah, so that's how this read thing is working. Okay, uh, we'll get the profile which we did in uh, user by username while handling the parameter. Okay, now after this, whenever this parameter is there, every request will have a profile. Okay, so we are not using these two requests. Actually, you can add the code yourself. Okay, just experiment with it. We are but reading the or single user like I showed you here. Okay, this one is the read route. Okay, and the way we are doing it, we'll just remove that hashed password. Basically we'll set it to undefined, and the salt also of that profile to undefined, and render user.ejs, and we'll pass the user profile to use it inside the ejs file. Okay, and you can see the title is also that way only, upon Abhishek's profile, the name's profile. Okay, like we are doing here. Okay, so that's how the user controller is working. Hope that makes sense. Right, we don't have any of the EJS. We will see all of them. I guess we have to just copy and paste it everyone. So yeah, till now everything clear. We'll move to next route and controller jitter, which will be the last, I guess. Yeah. Okay, everything clear? Any question till now? Any question? Please ask. Guys, any question? Are you guys following? Awesome. Okay then. So our last route, we'll create, not actually last, we'll have some more route, but yeah, jitter routes, this equals require routes. And here I believe we have jitter. Mm, yeah, jitter, and jitter. So let's quickly go to here and let's copy and paste like we have been doing. No changes in that. And we'll have the jitter controller, and we'll do the same for that as well. Jitter.controller.js. So copy these things and we'll explain the code. We'll understand the code. And wait. Yeah. Okay. Should we proceed? Proceed. Now, I guess all these codes should be easy to understand. I guess because we have been doing uh, the same thing for the last two controllers. So I guess it won't be alien to you. So should we start? 7:36. Okay. Let's see. So yeah, for Chitter, if you recall from the Chitter model, we need user ID, we need username, we need Chitter. Comments and created actually will be, comment is not required, and created will be added automatically by the date.now function. Okay, this is actually a function, and at the time of creation it will be called. Okay, you have that question. So yeah, so now, yeah, so for create, if you recall, we added a sign in middleware. And if you recall what it does for create, if you recall what it does, it will uh, add a auth object which will contain the ID and username of the user, of the signed in user, to the request object. Okay, so we extract that from auth property, and there's a easy way to do it using ES6, but I don't want to show you that. Okay, so we'll define the body to pass it to the new chitter like we did in the new user. So we have to define it because we have several things from other parts as well, not directly from request.body. So from request.body we are getting chitter. A user ID we just extracted from this auth object, and username as well, and we'll pass this body object to new chitter. Okay, and we'll again save this new chitter in our database, and we'll get this chitter which we are not actually using, and we'll redirect to slash. So basically slash after signing in, if you recall, is our chitter list page. So it doesn't matter if we redirect to slash chitter, which is calling the list for chitter, or just slash, because it will be automatically redirected to slash jitters after signing in. And in the process, if it gets any error, it will just render the error.ejs with error message, which we are getting from db error handler file. Okay, any problem in create? It was really duplicate of that user create, right? It was easy, right? Guys, it was easy. Was it easy? Okay. Okay. Yeah, kind of same. Okay. Okay. So in list again, we are finding all the jitter. We are not passing any you know property like we did in user model, I guess. I don't know. User controller, did we pass any find, or we just pass the mm, so yeah, in user model also we didn't pass, we just called the callback function. But here uh, what we are doing in the jitter controller, what we are doing, we are sorting. Okay, so we want to sort in the descending order by the property of created. This is one step extra we are doing uh, if we compare to the user list, right? So the way sort works, it basically will take an object with the property on the basis of you want to sort, and the type of sorting, like descending order or ascending order, like that. Okay, I guess by default it is ascending order. So if you want to add a descending order, like I wanted to have the reset. If I show you this new shitter I post, the new chatter will be at the top. Okay, so I wanted to be like that in the descending order of the creation date. Okay, I hope that makes sense. And again, I'll execute this function after sorting, and it's the same. If it gets any error, it will render the error.ejs file with message couldn't get jitters. Okay, and if it was a success, it will render the jitters.ejs with list of the jitter it gets as a second argument after finding, and it will have a title called jitter, and obviously user will have the user dot rec dot auth. We might be using user somewhere, I don't know. Oh yeah, for getting this usernames. Okay, for getting this usernames we are using user object from request dot auth, which we already have it as the middleware. Whew. Okay, next, again, this find by id is a parameter middleware. Okay, we are having this colon id. So if we open a new jitter, we'll be having this cryptic id. Okay, so which is basically this auto generated underscore id which I told you yesterday. Underscore id, this one is auto generated by mongodb. Okay, when we run the our app, you will see, you can see in your database the id and everything. I hope you guys are following this. It's just copy paste till now. I hope you guys are following, right? Okay, just type yes. Just type yes. Awesome. Awesome. So yeah, so for parameter, we'll be executing this function find by ID. Again, it will contain all these three middleware stuff and this ID. Okay. And so we do have this find by ID as well. Like we had find one, like we have find, we also have find by ID, where we don't have to pass an object like email should be this or username should be this. We just have to pass the ID, which we are simply getting from the URL as the parameter, right? From the parameter which we'll pass. So, and we'll execute that like we did after sorting. We'll execute that, and this function will run. So what's this doing? If there are no jitter, again error.ejs. This is exactly same. Okay, this is exactly same, and after doing it a couple of times, it should become an habit to do it. So yeah, and if we get any jitter, we'll add that jitter to the request object, and we'll call the next. Okay, for okay, so this has auth is being you know added to. Okay, we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so this ID is done. So for the slash colon ID, we have one get request, which is read, which is basically doing this. This one is the get request when we get a single, jitter. This one is the get request, And this one, delete, is what do you say, delete request. Okay, HTTP method. Do you guys know what HTTP method is? This get, that, post, delete, these thing. Do you know? If you don't, I'll explain it in the end. You see it. And if you do, you can just move ahead. Problem? Nope, you don't know. Okay, I'll explain it. What's that? For now, let's just uh, assume that the get request is for fetching, the delete request is for deleting the resource, and the post request is for creating a resource. Okay. Okay, this post request is for creating, get request is for fetching either a list or a single, and the delete is for removing. Okay. So yeah, for the read, it's very simple. We'll just return, render the, okay, what is it called? Wait. 2 minutes, guys. Okay, so we'll render chitter.ejs, which we haven't created yet again, and we'll just pass the chitter, which we added to the request. This is the single chitter, okay, which we found by ID, okay, and we will add a user object from where we are getting this username, and we'll pass in has auth so that we can render this delete button. If you have noticed, if you open, like, this is not me, so if I open this, I won't get that delete button. But if I open my post, I'll get that delete button, and I can use that delete button, right, and it's gone. So yeah, that's has auth will give us the power to dynamically render that delete button, okay, in that read, what do you say, thing. Okay, so for delete, we have that require sign in middleware, but we also have another middleware as has auth. Okay, so what has auth does is basically if the request.auth.username is equal to the request.chitter.username. So the signed in user, if he's the same user with who created that chitter, it should it should be done. So he will be only able to remove that chitter if he's has created, the user who is signed in has created that chitter. I hope that makes sense. Cryptic to say as well. Huh. Okay, does that make sense? We'll move to remove. Move ahead. Remove is also, this was just to debug. Okay, so remove is also very similar. We'll call that request.chitter. On that, we'll call that delete one method. This one is also that we added that request.chitter. That was also the chitter model only, so we can access various methods like delete one uh, on that. Okay, and after deleting, we'll call this function. If it was an error, it will again render the error.ejs, and if it wasn't, it will redirect to slash chitter page. If you recall, when I deleted that, I was recalled to this, I was redirected to this list of the chitters page, right? So till now, any question? We are going to the comment section. So till now, if you have any question, please ask. Guys, shall we move ahead? Guys, shall we move ahead? Okay, so comment. So I nested another route, post route, for creating a new comment basically. So what it does is it will go ahead and take that jitter, okay, and basically give it a jitter variable name, save it to a jitter variable name, okay. And we what we'll do, if you recall the model of jitter, comment is a array of comment schema, right? So when we add it, when we add new comments, we don't want the existing comment to go away, so we'll save the existing comments if there are any. We'll save it to existing comments, and this is just to debug. We can remove this console.log, and we'll add the user ID, username, and comment from the body, obviously. uh, and this user ID and username will again come from the auth who is logged in, okay. Now it will be we'll create a new comment like we did here, new body, okay, with that user ID, that comment, and that username. Okay, we could do it like username, but since key and value have same name, we can neglect that, skip that part, and we can simply say user ID comma uh, username comma comment, okay. And in that existing comment array, we'll push new comment object. If a person is supposedly commenting 2 times, will it replace the first comment? No, it won't replace the first comment. No, it won't. That's why we are pushing it to the existing comment array. Okay, we are not updating that. We are pushing. We are creating a new array. Basically, this was the array of comments, existing comments. We'll push that. This will be the last element. Okay, this will be the last element, and we'll update that jitter using update one. So you saw how we create new jitter, the model name, and then save it. That's how we create it. How we list, we'll use find, or we use find one to or we use find by ID to list to get one element of that model, okay. And for removing, we use, what did we use, delete one, okay. And for updating, we use update one. So you saw the CRUD operation: create, read, update, and delete. So how the update one works, basically we'll just give what field we want to update. So we'll just give comments to existing comment, and again this jitter is that request.jitter, okay. So we can have the MongoDB methods on that. So yeah, update one, we'll pass the field. We want to update the comments to existing comments, which again we push the new comment to that before that. And uh, after updating, it will have that function which just takes error object, and if it is any error, it will render that error.ejs, and if it is not, it will just come here at the last. It will it will not do anything after that. Basically it will come here, restart status, redirect to the jitter and jitter ID as well. So I'll show you how that works. So let me comment on someone else's post. This is my post. So it should redirect to that page only. So that's how we do it. Okay. And if you see, the post was not mine, but the comment is mine. Okay. So this one is from the auth, from the token and auth object in the request. Till now, any problem? No, we don't have that, but you can add it. You can try it. You can try adding it, adding that feature, that to delete. That will be a good exercise. Yeah. And if you need any hint, actually, you can get the unique comment by every schema. Whenever you create one, it will have a default ID property which will be generated by MongoDB only. So you can access comments from that. Now figure it out. I won't tell. Okay, so our complete flow is done, but the most important thing, the front end, is still left. So how do you want to do it? Should we copy and paste everything? Because the EJS part, we have understood how EJS works, right? So only the HTML and CSS part and a bit of JavaScript is left. So what should
Bro,
we?
what did we pull from your GitHub, right? If we change the MongoDB URL, which we have
Yeah, yeah,
taken, will it
yeah, yeah,
work?
yeah. It will work.
Okay, then you can teach from that one. We'll do that. It's more better.
I didn't get you though.
See, what you told, no Twitter clone, that GitHub.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What we pull clone from that, we'll just change the MongoDB URL. That's it.
Okay, so the MongoDB URL actually
Hmm.
it's inside the env file. Okay, so to use that,
Hmm.
you will have to create a .env file and MongoDB URI is equal to, you have to give your URL.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, yes.
Can we get the IDs of schema from the MongoDB webpage? I didn't get you. Can we get the ID of schema from which schema? Okay, so whenever you are getting this, no, right? Um, Not in auth, but jitter. So, wait, find by ID. Okay, so in this jitter object, you will have that ID. Still not getting your question. So every schema, not every schema, but every object of that schema, every collection, not also collection, every record of that collection will have a unique ID, and that's not ID, that's underscore ID. Okay, so it will have, this jitter will have an underscore ID. Every document has that. Okay, and you like we are, wait, where did it go? Like we are, you know, rendering this, we can also render dot underscore id. We can get that. I'll show you how. I'll just change my code only. This one. Okay. Yeah. So I'll change in my views. I'll go to jitter dev, I guess. Um, yeah. Let's change here underscore id. Go to the home. Right. Jitter dot underscore id. So yeah, we can access that. Okay, that's not hidden from us. We can access the IDs from that. But was that your question? Can we get? We can get. The IDs are not hidden. Yeah, the IDs are not hidden from us. So yeah, if you start with React, there if you are rendering a list, you will need to give a unique ID to every element so that it can update it efficiently. So yeah, that's where it gets important to pass a unique ID to every element. So yeah, should we copy this views folder in our what do you say project, and then we'll start for deployment? It's almost 8. Should we do that? Should we deploy our project today only? Just type in yes, we'll do that. Yeah, okay. Okay, you guys are following, right?
The other way, guys, would you all want us to extend the workshop if you all have any more doubts till tomorrow? Because the workshop was supposed to end at 7:30 and we are running a bit late. So wanted your suggestions if you all want to complete it today or you all want us to extend it one more day and finish it tomorrow.
Bro,
If
tomorrow is holiday, no? You can take in morning hour.
Okay, but I don't know how many of
I don't wake up.
Okay,
no,
anytime,
that will be
anytime.
possible. Will be yeah. I understand what you guys are saying, but I wanted a general overview about all the audience
Okay.
who wish. We can
No, if
extend the workshop by one more day max.
no, if you don't have problem, we can do it right now as well. Because not much is left. Okay, we'll just copy the views folder and deploy it. And if you want, we can extend one day and we can explain that views folder.
No, problem Arpan is according to the rules of the club, we cannot extend it anymore right now. So uh,
Okay.
we have a problem from that end. I mean, a workshop cannot go longer than 1.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Then should we do it tomorrow?
yeah, I mean, I'm open to, but are the participants okay? The participants seem to be fine with it. Then yeah, so the guys, we would in that case, yeah, tomorrow will be the deployment thing. So we'd be deploying the thing tomorrow. Additionally, I wanted you guys to unmute yourselves and have a small review about how the workshop is going. What changes would you like? I mean, just in case, what improvements you thought could have been done, or what went wrong, what went right, and you all really enjoyed it. Please, I would like people to unmute and
Yeah.
speak.
What? Yeah. Snippet.
Guys, can we have people showing up manually? Anju, Apurva, Arthur, Shikar, you guys?
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. Anything. Any feedback. Any feedback.
I'm open to any feedback. Like, guys, be honest. We open to criticisms. We open to like, how do you all think we could improve? How are we different from the other clubs? So yeah,
You can give us a roadmap. Feel little difficult to understand many things.
okay,
That will be
I'm
good.
very talented. Thank you,
okay.
Anju.
Yeah, he's talented.
Were you able to learn anything, or did you get any motivation from this workshop?
Yes,
So,
total motivation. I'm studying. Like I finished JavaScript using
that's
for
good.
loops and
Awesome.
CSS. I finished. This time I'm doing more.
Okay.
Nice. Nice.
So you should give me some roadmap so that I can
So
continue.
would you be like
Definitely. I'll give you a roadmap.
if you have a if you have a workshop suggestion, what would be the next workshop? I mean, what would you like to learn from us?
Working with frameworks, bro.
Okay, you want to learn, or you want to learn Java.
Yeah, sure.
You want to
Thank you,
learn
Anju.
frameworks or
Like
JavaScript frameworks.
how to use this bootstrap and materialize efficiently. That
So,
type. That will be
Okay.
development and all, right?
Got it.
that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I got that.
Okay, that is
We'll do that.
that is a very helpful feedback, Shrikar. Thank you so much. Uh,
Yeah.
Coming up,
Thank
I
you.
mean, anyone, Anju, yeah, could you unmute yourself and speak, please, if that would be possible? Okay, I think Anju might be having some problem.
Yeah, I learned a lot actually. Like, I wanted to study web development, and since I'm from EC branch, I did not have any knowledge to be honest. So, other than this workshop, Arpan has also helped me in creating another web app using Django. So, uh, I don't know, I really enjoyed this. I usually go through the videos again, and then I try to modify the code, like the colors and all.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
really nice. I mean, we are really happy you learned a lot from us. So thanks for that feedback. Apart from that, Anju, any workshop suggestion that you have for us? I mean, for the near future, what would you like to learn? And yeah,
Like, I'm gonna study about this web development. Like,
okay,
I'm gonna dig a little more deeper. Maybe I'll study on my own, or like if you guys are gonna organize workshop, I'm gonna participate for sure.
that's
Especially if it's you, Arpan.
okay. I'm really happy for that. What about Harshal? You also been really active. I look forward for your feedback too, Harshal.
Yeah. Harshal was very active. Are you there, Harshal?
Harshal said he has some connectivity issues. I'm not sure if he's there. Harshal, you there again? Your mic is muted if you're speaking. Okay, no problem. Just in case you guys want any, okay, the workshop is great. I enjoy the workshop and learned. Okay, thank you so much, Harshal, for that. Okay, just in case, guys, we just wanted to. So basically, our club is something which we plan to, have a overview. We wanted to be very unique as compared to others. That's why we. So this is for the first time CMRIT has had a 5-day continuous workshop. It would have been great if we were in college live, and I understand a lot of problems when they are live, but I promise you all, once the college begins, we are planning to have even more better workshops, and we're planning to conduct so that there can be an overall development of everyone. Apart from that, tomorrow we'll be ending this workshop. So we were supposed to end it today, but from yeah, as everyone wants an extension, we would be doing it tomorrow. So again, I think tomorrow 6:30 would be fine for everyone. Is that fine? Okay, perfect, guys. So yeah, I think